Hello and welcome to another episode of the Gun and Gear Review Podcast. This is episode 115. This show we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate your products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Ryan Cross from the Firearms Radio Network and the Firearms Insider, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This week I have with me Rob, Chad, TJ, and Tony. Say hi, guys. How's everyone going?
Oh,
hey,
hi.
Ryan.
Awesome.
Great. Yeah, I'm good.
What has everyone been up to in guns this last week?
Well,
I took my brand new 20 gauge out and ran some rounds through it and had a little fun with that. And other than that, I had to deal with New Jersey gun laws, trying to get approval for my next pistol purchase permit. Eventually, you guys will see my new Glock. Eventually.
One day.
They sell Glocks in New Jersey?
You know what? That's just wrong. Of course they do. It's just restricted to 15 rounds.
So when you go buy the Glock, do they put it like in a little display case where you can go in there and visit it and wave at it like new daddies wave to their kids in the hospital?
Look at it. It's so cute because it's black.
No, that's what I did when I bought my silencer and I was waiting for the ATF to return the paperwork. I asked the dealer, I said, can I come over and wave at it through your window and say, yeah, there you are, you'll be mine in a few months. I'll take you home and we'll have fun.
Gee,
yes, that's how it is. That really is how it is. When I bought the CZs, I purchased 2 of them before I got the pistol purchase permit done. Well, my FFL is where I also buy my ammo, and yes, I did actually get visits with my handguns. Until the paperwork was done, I could look at them and take pictures of them.
Yeah, my NFA dealer lets us, if you buy something, if you meet them at the range, you can shoot it, or depending on what it is, use it, whatever.
I always wondered how that worked, because what if it comes back with a denial?
Well,
and they have a used silencer.
They just deduct it.
Yeah, I guess. We'll give you your payment minus 20%.
Well, my NFA dealer did is he goes to like a range with a bunch of his silencers, and he lets you go out there and shoot his silencers. Like, you know, you want to buy a Tyrant 9, he'll bring his Tyrant 9 out there and you can shoot it, and that way you can shoot not the silencer you bought, but something like the silencer you bought. Anyways,
cool. Right on. What about everyone else? What'd you guys do in guns?
I bought a new shotgun and planned to go shoot it, but then the weather got all sloppy wet and nasty, so I didn't get a chance to.
You're a fair weather shooter?
Oh, yeah.
Everything gets mighty squishy when it rains for 3 days straight down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the ranges I go to are outdoors and kind of clay, so the last week it's been nothing but sloppy, rainy nastiness, and I just don't want to go out there and get all sloppy, muddy, nasty. So I just stayed home, turned the heat on, and...
Yeah, I kind of did like probably Ryan did, is I was sick, so I pretty much stayed home and did absolutely nothing.
Yep. Pretty much did a lot of website stuff, give me a chance to get caught up on my things I want to finish up for people before SHOT Show. But I actually have been pretty busy in guns. Finally, I have some gun talk, some new stuff to talk about. My Tavor, I've been tinkering on it, even though I haven't gotten out to shoot it yet, which is kind of a sad story, but it's got some additions on here. So first off, I changed out the trigger, obviously, to the Geisley trigger pack. And it's got the Tavor does not ship with the tool to remove the barrel, so it's impossible to change the trigger on it until you order that $15 wrench. So that was kind of a pain. I had to wait for that, so it was just kind of disassembled in the case while I was waiting for that wrench to come in. So, Amazon and, 5 days after that, because I'm not one of those Prime nerds. But I got the wrench, and I put the lightning bow trigger in there, which makes it feel much more like a kind of a 2-stage AR match trigger. So it's a must-have for any Tavor owner. I did put first I put a Manticore Arms like a handguard on there.
Arc light.
Yeah, the arc light. Thank you, TJ. It's not M-LOK, but it is compatible with their own arc light rails and also MOE, the old Magpul rails. But I didn't really care for it, so I got a Midwest Industries extended M-LOK handguard because it went further out, so it kind of covers up the exposed part of the barrel. I think it looks pretty cool. And it also had room for the flashlight, so there's a front cap that holds your 1-inch flashlight. This is a primary arms flashlight that came with a tape switch, so when I squeeze the handle here, the flashlight goes off. Pretty stinking bright. So yeah, so far I've been enjoying that. I feel kind of bad for replacing the Manticore arms part because, I was kind of talking to Sven about it, and I wanted to primarily have some Manticore stuff on here. I did get their new switchback rail. Switchback charging handle. So this guy right here actually folds out, and then you can rack it, and then when you let it go forward with full force and authority, it'll actually fold forward. So
Nice.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So the normal Tavors are just solid,
yeah,
sticking out
it's
the
a solid
side.
piece
Well,
that's always sticking out. So
Yeah,
it
it
kind
rocks forward just a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I could just rock it here with my fingers.
Yeah.
It's got a little detent.
Yeah. Okay,
So
that's
it's
cool. I
really
gotta
nice.
get one.
That's a really nice update on their Tavor there.
Now, did you change the barrel on your Tavor?
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you got like the 9mm kit, there's
Right.
supposed to be a 300 blackout kit, but I haven't seen it come out yet. And I did put the Manticore Arms Luma safeties on here. So they came out with a medium and a small one, and so I put the medium on my primary side, the left side, and I put the small one on the other side. So I have ambidextrous safeties now. The factory Tavors on the right-hand side just have a teardrop, kind of flat, rounded indicator, just to tell you what position it's in, but you wouldn't be able to actuate it from the right side. Pretty easy to change out with a small enough punch. So that's my Tavor updates. And then I also I brought a gun home today. Followed me back from Cabela's. The SIG P938
Nice.
Scorpion. I'm January, for some reason every year, January to me is like new gun month. I'm not sure why. It's like the prospect of tax returns or something. But it's usually Christmas money is what that is too. Gift cards from Christmas parties. But so I've always kind of looking at a pocket-sized 9mm that I could fit inside a holster like this DeSantis Nemesis holster. So it's just a pocket holster. Fits in there perfectly. It's got this little fin on here that catches onto your pocket, so you pull the gun out, not the holster with it. So it fits in like most cell phone pockets and like vests and jackets, at least the ones that I wear. Also, you can put it in the side pocket too. But I can just have it kind of nice in the vest pocket here, and then be able to access it pretty quickly if I need to. Has night sights right from the factory. They're really bright. The tritium on there is pretty new. So it's pretty much a little mini 1911, except for that there's no grip safety.
Now, is that the one in 9mm or 380?
9mm. The 380 is the P238, and the 9 is the 938.
I had a hard enough time trying to keep the Glock model straight.
Yeah, I
SIGs
know.
really drive me nuts. But I shot one of those. It's a nice shooting little 9mm.
Yeah, they are nice. Comes with a 2 magazines. This one's got a finger rest on there. Gives my pinky a little nice little home to sit on. So it just feels about just big enough to be enjoyable to shoot. And then if I put the smaller magazine, the 6-round, in there, it's going to be flush, and then my pinky is kind of hanging off in no man's land, but not too bad. Kind of be a little bit more comfortable inside the pocket that way, but I think I'm going to mostly carry it with the extended magazine on there.
It's a 7-round
cool.
Extended?
Yeah, 7-round. Definitely cocked unlocked is the style of carry on this guy. It's got ambidextrous safety on both sides,
Nice.
so that's preventing the hammer from dropping. It does have internal safety to where the hammer doesn't drop unless the trigger's pulled. Of course, it does say in the instructions, don't drop it. It might fire. if they didn't put that, somebody would, try and get it to do it so they can sue SIG. So, besides that being the only carry method that you have to get used to is just, having the safety on, having the hammer back all the way. It's not a big deal. It's kind of like carrying a 1911.
Yeah, without dragging one side of your body to the side.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that heavy. I mean, it's heavier than my cell phone, but when I put the cell phone in my other breast pocket, it kind of balances out the weight on the vest a little bit.
Oh no, I was talking about a 1911 though. That.
Oh yeah,
man,
full size. No. Yeah.
Carrying one of those wears on you, brother. And I mean, I was all gung ho with it because that was, my first carry pistol. But there were some days I'm looking at the thing going, nah, you can stay in the car.
Yeah. Well, I wanted something that, because a lot of times I'm heading out the door and I don't have time to put a holster on, even though I should. And then the lightest pistols I have for holster carry are Glock 19 or a Smith & Wesson Compact in 40 or 357 SIG. And sometimes I get tired of it. Having a double stack magazine on my hip. So I wanted a single stack. I almost got the Shield, but they didn't have the one in the Cryptek Typhon camo because I'm a special little snowflake and I wanted the Cryptek camo on there from the factory. But then comparing the size to the SIG, I saw that, this SIG was like an inch smaller in one dimension and half an inch smaller in the other dimension. So I decided to go with this route. I do like the fact that it's all metal and not polymer grip like a lot of my other pistols are.
Nice.
Night sight's something that I'd have to upgrade anyway, but now I don't have to with this. So it was just a matter of getting it to pass with the missus, which I'm in trouble, but kind of not for what you'd think. She knew I was looking at it, and I'm in trouble because I thought it's easy. The old saying, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission.
Yeah, beg for forgiveness and ask for permission.
Not the case in my household, because she was like, I was going to get that for your birthday. Oh, bummer. And then I'm getting the death glare. She's like, well, now you're not getting nothing. And I'm like, oh.
So
You're in trouble.
You could pay me back for my birthday. Here's the receipt. And I'm sleeping on the couch tonight.
You could have saved yourself X amount of dollars if you just waited 3 weeks.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I kind of had some. Yeah, there's certain variables that led me to justifying purchasing it now. Let me just say that I'm I can convince myself to buy any gun if I want it bad enough.
Yeah, all you have to do.
I don't want to have it right now.
No,
yes,
he just looks at it and says, "Ooh, shiny," and buys it.
What he's saying is he has ESP and he hasn't won the lottery yet, but he knows that he will tomorrow.
I can't imagine how bad I'd be if I actually won the lottery.
You can't?
I'd be coming home with like a Savage 338 Lapua or something if I knew I was going to win the lottery.
Dude, the 3 local Raleigh gun stores have all cleaned out of guns. One person came in and bought them all up.
Not even. Here's the story. Tony Simon just purchased the NRA museum. All the stuff is together. I'm not chasing it down. I'm just walking in the door with the checkbook.
Bought the entire Cabela's gun library.
Exactly.
Yeah. Especially that one room we all go into and lick the glass. Yeah, I'm buying that room out.
Yeah. Try and replace the glass, though. My recommendation.
Yeah, no, I'll be rich. I'll pay somebody to clean the glass.
They had a pretty sweet underground shooting garage down there.
Yeah.
Shooting range under the garage.
Yeah.
Did we skip anybody for what they did in guns this week?
I think we got it.
All right. So, announcements. Bandwidth sponsor for this podcast is Patriot Patch. Head on over to patriotpatch.co and check out the new patches we've got available for pre-order, including Team MLOC and Team Keymod patches.
Nice.
Those were just added for pre-order. Pretty excited about those. We've got the Modern Musket pre-order, where you get a free T-shirt, Modern Musket white T-shirt with the patch pre-order. And we've got the Wolverines hand clutching the AK, like the movie Red Dawn. And then we've got the Instagram patch Cat Eye. It's also available. So check that out. And guests are always welcome on the show. Send me an email across at firearmsradio.tv if you're interested in joining the podcast with us. Also, a product alert. I'm not going to add it to like the show because we've already talked about it, sort of. The Magpul Hunter 700 stock. Everyone knows I like Magpul, and I've been waiting for the Hunter 700 stock. I bought one. Of course, I haven't. You haven't seen it since because it's been sitting in the safe. But a lot of people have been complaining because it's short action only, and they weren't going to get into them until Magpul released the long action. Well, guess what? SHOT Show's next week, and Magpul's just started to release some of their new products that you'll be seeing down there, including the long action version of the Hunter 700. So you can go back to the podcast where we talked about the Hunter 700, probably around last January for SHOT Show. It's of course included with that is the long action Magwell and the long action P magazine too, the P mag AC. So there's going to be a long action magazine for that, so you can put your 300 Win Mag, your 30-06, your other long action cartridges in that magazine. So kind of nice news to hear.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know a lot of people will like that.
Yep.
Nice.
I guess kind of on the same vein too, we were talking about Springfield Armory before we started the show. They're doing this thing where they're releasing, I don't know, what is it, like 15 different guns?
Yeah, something like that. And they're giving away like 50 of them or something.
Yeah. 19 different models, and not necessarily new guns, but variations of such. So I just kind of wanted to run down what they've released so far. I think we're only 6 into it. So the XDS in 40 Smith & Wesson, which I'm sure a lot of people were anticipating that because it was kind of a weird gap. They had 9 and 45, but no 40. The XD Mod 2 Subcompact Flat Dark Earth. That's just a color change. They're adding the FDE to their compact. 1911 Range Officer in stainless steel instead of just the blued steel, or whatever they use. 1911. Oh, my screen just scrolled. I'm sorry. 1911 loaded with Crimson Trace laser grips. So basically, just they're loaded with laser grips from the factory. And then an XDM 4.5 threaded barrel, 45 ACP in FDE. So that's pretty cool that they're coming with threaded barrels and the suppressor sights, so you don't have to worry about changing those.
That would be good to get, especially I think it's got a 13 round capacity.
Yep. The 45 has 13 and the 9mm is 19.
Yeah, you can get the extended base plate to carry 15 or 16 rounds in the mag for that 45.
Nice.
And then you'd be one-upping the FNX with its capacity.
Yep. And plus, like I said, it comes with the factory night sight, or the factory. I don't know if they're night sights. I'm sorry. I meant suppressor sights.
Yep.
They don't seem to be night sights, so I misspoke on that.
If only they had milled and tapped the slide for sort of red dot, and they would have the winner right there.
Now, they are, like Tony mentioned, they're giving away, or somebody mentioned, they're giving away 50 of them. I don't know if that's 50 of each bottle or 50 between the different models or what, but if you go to 1950.springfield-armory.com, you can get in on that, see the new products and get in on that giveaway. So it's pretty cool.
Sweet.
If you actually joined their newsletter, you'll get tagged with you'll get emails sent anytime they have this contest, and they do stuff like this a couple of times a year.
Oh, nice.
So, you can enter for free, so it's a great time. SIG also has the same thing. They have a contest once a month also with giveaways on their webpage.
Yep. Sweet. So yeah, let's get into the first new product we're going to talk about this week. And this is something that a lot of folks are excited about. It's kind of a monumentous occasion. Ruger is entering the suppressor market with their first 22 can. It's called the Silent SR for Sturm and Ruger. It's a 22 long rifle suppressor that's also rated for full auto 22. as well as 22 Magnum and 17 HMR. You guys got a chance to take a look at this?
Oh yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yes.
I'm excited. I was listening to one of the other shows. I think it was This Week in Guns. They were talking about Bill Ruger just turning himself over in his grave right now because this is so non-Ruger. You know, last week we saw the Ruger American pistol, which was very non-Ruger. You know, with it being polymer, no extra safeties and no lawyer features and all that stuff. And then 2 days later, I think it came out just in time to not make it on the show last week, is this 22 silencer. And I mean, it's just awesome to see Ruger do that, to see a big manufacturer do that. I know SIG's been making silencers for a couple years, but other than that, is any other like mainstream gun company making silencers?
No, but I'm thinking that's changing soon. I think
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot
I
of
think,
them are getting into it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be super easy. I mean, all you really need is a lathe and a mill and CNC. They have all that stuff
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
They have everything they need.
It makes
Well,
a
let's be
lot
real.
of sense, considering how many suppressor companies out there have already been selling like
Hotcakes?
handguards and other milled parts for years. Yankee Hill Machine, they make handguards and stuff, and guys know that they make muzzle brakes and suppressors.
Yep.
So it makes a lot of sense if you've already got the equipment. You're just making baffles and making a sleeve to fit over them.
Well, let's get real, too. When AAC sold out to Remington, SIG just bought the leadership from AAC and said, come up here to Exeter, New Hampshire, and build some suppressors for us.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Well, what gets me is this. If you want to know what Ruger's going to do next, just get a list of all the things that Bill Ruger said he'd never do, and there you go.
yes.
Yeah.
I really think it's awesome. They've stepped, because it's about, Ruger's really good at making entry-level and quality firearms or firearms accessories or anything with their name on it. It's good. It's not great. It's not outstanding, but it's good, and you won't go wrong with it.
Do you see a
I don't
price?
think this is good. No. Oh yeah. Didn't I say
$449.
$499?
That's
$449.
price.
$449.
Yeah.
At the bottom.
So it's good. It's probably not going to be the greatest suppressor in the world, but so what? You want to get in on it. You want a Ruger product, especially if you're a Ruger fanboy, and there are a lot of us out there. I can count myself in. I don't know if I'm a fanboy, but I know I won't go wrong with a Ruger product.
I mean,
Yep.
You know what I
well,
mean?
who doesn't have a 1020?
I think we all have. That's what I was going to say. I think we all own at least a 1022. And then you get into the Ruger 22 rimfire pistols, like the
Right.
SR22 they have in the picture, or the Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, the 2245. I mean, everything they put out is darn near epic. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just on the way to becoming a legend. So
Yeah, and
don't
Ruger's,
you're
I
really
think
gonna
all
go
their
wrong.
I think all of Ruger's rimfire stuff is coming with an option for a threaded barrel, just from the factory. Like their 2245, the SR22, the 1022. They've got tons of different models of those.
Oh,
The
man.
American rimfires, all of those have
Yeah.
a thread option. So I think what might be pretty cool to see is if Ruger would be willing to package some of those somewhere down the road. See how they sell, and if they do well, just say, oh, you buy a 2245, and
Oh, you know they will.
and the
Well, especially with the
silencer has a
changes they're
combo.
making to the Form 4 process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the only thing that's amazing is I was looking at the baffle stack. I've never seen a baffle stack quite like this. Normally the baffles are
Weird,
more...
ain't it?
Yeah, they're kind of like got this thing poking out of them or something. I don't know how to
Yeah.
describe it. It's
I
not like
guess
any
the-
baffle stack I've seen before, you know?
Right, that's what I was about to say too. The baffles they claim they are, I guess kind of, it says snap apart. I don't know quite how they interlock face together. So I think it comes out as one stack, and then you kind of snap them apart to be able to clean them. But I believe they also they're kind of keyed in some way to where you can you put them back in the same position every single
Right.
time, so you don't have to worry about. I don't know how big of an issue it is. I've never owned or disassembled a silencer, so I don't know how big of an issue putting them in different orders or different orientations really matters.
Well, I can tell you that at least on the one that I Form 1'd, I can put those things in there about any way.
Yeah.
But they're K baffles, so even if you
They're
turn them
concentric.
opposite, but the little, well, whatever, relief cut or whatever to disrupt the gas, you can put them in different ways. I can't tell with my ear. If you put an actual meter on it, you probably could, but
Yeah.
I mean,
It might be too for accuracy. I've heard for accuracy, you want you want everything to be consistent as possible, so you get it accurate and sighted in with one,
right.
With it put together one way, you take it apart and clean it, and then you just kind of throw it back together randomly. You might not get the same accuracy, but for, like a 22 pistol pumpkin can, it might not be the biggest issue.
And I think a lot of that's going to have to do with the manufacturer. Like the Tyrant 9 that I've got, when you put it together, it's got the K baffles, and they want the first 3 baffles with the ports oriented one way, then the next 3 go orient a different 180. So that's what the manufacturer says.
Okay.
And I think it's for sound and to help with the gas pressure, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But these look like they only go together one bloody way, so.
Yeah, definitely.
Like TJ said, it looks like they say it snaps apart each part, so.
That's the phrasing they use too, is snap.
Yeah.
So I assume they have some kind of interference snap fit to.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a taper kind of.
Like they say, they're easy disassembly. That tube that's around each of the baffles, that's really going to help taking it apart to clean it. Because if you don't have that kind of the tube around the baffles, that where it's self-contained and keeps all the gunk inside the baffle, it'll be a pain to take apart.
Oh yeah.
It'll be because 200 rounds of 22 through a can. Let me tell you something. I had to drop my 22 can in the sonic cleaner for about an hour to get that gunk loosened up so I could take it apart.
Yeah. But really, if you look at this, they did a good design with the design. I mean, there has to be something to their funky baffle design. But
I'm sure, yeah.
It's they put it's threaded half 28 like everything, but it's got like a stainless insert for the threads. It's aluminum titanium construction. So they did their research, and I think, like you were saying earlier, TJ, they did a good job of bringing out everything of theirs beforehand with threaded barrels, so they're already out there. So now, you call up Ruger and the dealers, you can get a Ruger suppressor for your Ruger. I mean,
right. Yeah, and it's funny. It says it says the Silent SR is compatible with a host of Ruger firearms, and they name 8 of their different guns that come factory threaded. So it's kind of like they're like, hey, buy your Ruger pistol, buy your Ruger rifle, and buy your Ruger silencer, and that's awesome. It's just like more. I think with Tony, I'm thinking a lot more people are gonna be doing this in the near future.
And if you have if you're fortunate to have one of the 1022 full autos, you can now buy a Ruger rated full auto suppressor for it.
Or if you got a slide fire stock for your 1022, same thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. You get one of the Norel trigger packs for $20,000 or however much they go for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Atkins accelerator. Oh, oops.
And
well, at least the only thing I would have, in full auto as a civilian would be a 22. Other than that, no.
Yeah.
I can tell you,
listen, if you. Oh, I'm sorry.
1022 on a slide fire stock is a blast.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
But if you ever want to get tired of firing full auto guns, join the military. They'll suck all the fun right out of it. Just like you know.
Yep. So should we go through what else? Did we not cover anything on this?
You guys mentioned the MSRP?
Yeah, we said 449.
Oh, the length is 5.37 inches. And here's what I find a little odd, but not really. It's a 1.06 inch diameter tube.
Yeah.
Seems kind of weird, but hey. And it weighs 6.3 ounces.
Every hundredth of an inch counts.
Yeah, it's 6/100ths of an inch over 1 inch, and I honestly, you kind of think about it. Everybody else says 1 inch. They might be off by that much too.
Yeah.
They're just calling it a 1-inch, so it might be kind of standard size. But I think it'd be pretty cool if they would come out with a. I know it'd be kind of hard because of the size of it, but if they would come out with a .92 size to fit flush with the bull barrels on their rifles and pistols,
Nice.
that would be nice.
So
Yeah.
I'm betting one of the next products they release is going here in a few days is going to be a 9mm can.
Oh yeah, I'd
Mhm.
take that bet.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to mention the
5.56.
outside diameter. That's the only bummer. I mean, I've got a Tactical Solutions can, and I really like that it is flush with the Tactical Solutions barrel.
Yeah.
They're both the same outside diameter.
Now is that a 9.2?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, if you were to put this on, I mean, it's not like Ruger puts out anything that's strictly bill-barreled, so you won't have that real nice continuous look. But
Well, they're 2245s, and I think they do offer bull barrel 1022s.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's just going to be attractive no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, I think people might be a little less intimidated by it. Like, oh, well, Ruger's making it. I mean, it's kind of, you should explain to them that, suppressors have been legal for a long time now, but there's a lot of first-time suppressor owners that are going to be kind of more drawn to purchasing one and finding out more information now that it's got another large player's name engraved on it.
Yeah, you think all the Mark 1 and Mark 2s and single 6s and all that stuff that are floating around, that might be the only gun somebody owns as a Ruger rimfire of some sort, and that's all they've known their entire life. And then they say, oh, well, that company's making a silencer now? That's weird. You go from your old school single action revolver to them offering silencers. It might make people kind of think about things in a different way, which is really cool. We need somebody.
Well, I think we're. Oh, sorry. I thought you were done. No, what I think it is because of Ruger's all-American image. Because of and again, almost everybody had a 1022, or everybody had a Mark 1, Mark 2, or Mark 3 growing up. So now it's not the assassin weapon. It's not the bad guy weapon. You know what I mean? It's
that's
made
kind of
by
what I was
Ruger.
getting at. It's heritage.
It kind of knocks that out.
Yeah. Your legacy, heritage company is coming out with something that some people don't really even know is legal. And so it's kind of opened the doors and turned the light on for a lot of people. One thing I thought was kind of funny, somebody said, of course, in typical Ruger fashion, they put stamps, they put writing all over it and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's really got all the necessary information and a logo and nothing else. Like, it's not like it's got all these lawyer stamps. It's got the manufacturer, the the location, the serial number, and the model number, and the caliber, and that's it. It's not over encumbered with logos. So I think
it has to have that stuff by law.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That by law, if you make one yourself, it's got to have all four of those things. And then the only thing they did extra is put the Ruger logo and some fancy little border around it, and I think it looks good. Honestly, that was just a weird complaint I saw somebody make. Really, you're just looking to complain.
I got some stove paint.
There you go.
What's that, Chad?
It is, I think, stove paint.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to paint over it? Yeah. But what I think it is, and I've noticed it a lot in the gun community, a lot of people hate on Ruger because I don't know why, but they don't want to like Ruger, and it's like maybe because they grew up with it and they want to step away from it. I'm baffled by it because, again, good products, good price.
Was that a silencer pun, Tony? You're baffled.
Hey.
Wow,
Tony?
that was pretty good. Even I'm not that good. Man.
Yeah, Tony, I think some of it had to do with people didn't really care for Ruger because Bill Ruger used to say that he was never going to do this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he would outright be like, well, nobody needs more than 10 rounds. Nobody needs a suppressor. Yeah, so, there's stuff like that, well, I can understand if the owner of the company says that, then, okay, maybe you don't like Ruger as much because they're not going to do this stuff. Well, now they are. So
But that
you
was
can like
30 plus
Ruger.
years ago, and it's got different owners and different people running it.
Yeah, Bill
Yeah.
Ruger's no longer even worm food. All right, get over it. He's gone. Obviously, they threw out everything he had to say. They used what he said "don't" to as a template to the future. Let it go.
And it's working for them.
Now,
buy
I don't
stock
think
in
we.
Ruger and quit bitching. Buy Ruger stock and quit bitching.
Now, I don't think if we necessarily touched on what was made out of what. I guess we kind of said the materials, but
Yeah.
so the tube is titanium, like the outer sleeve, I guess you could say.
Right.
The aluminum rear cap. It says rear cap. And stainless steel threaded mount. But I would think the aluminum would be the front cap.
It's probably
Maybe
both.
Baffles.
No, so stainless steel threaded mount baffles and front cap. So,
Okay, so the rear cap is the rear, but it's got a stainless steel threaded mount. So it's like inserted. It's got the stainless steel thread insert in the aluminum rear cap. Okay, and then the baffles and front cap are also stainless steel. So I mean that's really good. One thing I've seen people do is they just put aluminum rear caps, and aluminum does not mate well with anything ferrous. So especially being so soft, it's gonna mar it up and run the risk of ruining your silencer. So I'm glad they put that insert.
Yeah. The other nice thing is if you go to their website, down at the bottom they put a bunch of questions and answers for people that don't understand how this works.
Right.
And get a few ideas.
Yeah, I like their Q&A because it's kind of like a catch-all for somebody that's just browsing Ruger's site looking for their next 1022 or bolt-action rifle, and then they click on this like, oh, silencer, kind of like we were talking about earlier. They weren't aware of it, and then they come over here and say, can I hunt with my Silent SR? Can I use my Silent SR at my local gun range? How do I ship my Silent SR to Ruger for service? Do I need an ATF form? What laws regulate the silencer? It's like they kind of hit on a lot of very common FAQs.
Right.
Right on. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to see more footage and people putting this on all their different kind of firearms. The fact that it's rated for those 3 calibers is key because before people were going like straight up like over $500 for a titanium can that can handle all those calibers, and it kind of kept a lot of people from getting to that because I don't want to spend over $200 or $300 on a 22 can. I'll just stick with long rifle. So the fact that you can go 22 Magnum and 17 HMR, I think that's the best bet for getting a 22 caliber can. Make sure it can handle those guys, just for versatility's sake. I can't throw mine on a 17. I wish I could.
Yeah, that's really nice, and for it being as compact as it is and still being able to handle the Magnum and the 17, because it's, like we said a minute ago, only 1 inch diameter and 5.37 inches long. It's 6 ounces. It's super tiny.
Yep.
For being rated for full auto and all that, and that I guarantee has a lot to do with the stainless steel and titanium construction. So that's definitely a plus. I mean, not too many people have full auto 1022s, but it's cool that you can put it on a Magnum or a 17. And honestly, I think that them stating full auto is just that's probably more of a side effect of them just making it work for a
I've noticed the most rated for 22 Magnum and 17 HMR are also full auto rated. So
it's just kind of a convenient extra thing to throw on there.
Yeah,
it gets the blood pumping a little bit more.
For people like me, it actually matters.
For people with fancy full autos.
Yeah.
I don't know about fancy, but
you got the least fancy full auto you could, huh?
Yep.
Hey, trust me, I live in Jersey. It's a fancy full auto. It's a fancy suppressor. If it holds more than 15 rounds, that's fancy too. Our fancy threshold is really shallow.
Yeah. Well,
pistol grip. Fancy.
I'm gonna do Ryan's job here and say, if this next thing coming up has a threaded barrel, this suppressor might work nicely on it.
Yeah.
Spoiler, it does.
Maybe kind of crossing brands, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
So the next next item we're going to talk about is Smith & Wesson just put out a new Target 22 pistol, and it's called the SW22 Victory. Victory because they got a Ruger Mark III and a Browning Buckmark to have a baby, and they named it the Victory.
Thank you.
Yeah, because that's exactly how it looks like, and that's not a bad thing. That's just 5 guys that are pretty experienced with how guns look, and that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, Ryan Machad from Handgun Radio joked that it was the Smith & Ruger Buckmark.
Buckmark III, yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's a 5.5-inch barrel, 10 rounds plus 1. There are 3 variants. So there's a Victory without a threaded barrel. It does appear to be just a bull barrel. There's a threaded version, and there's also a camouflage version. So there's that. It is Cryptek, so I'll give them style points for choosing a wicked modern camouflage pattern. What do you guys think about this pistol?
Overall, I mean, it's not something I'm super interested in, just because I'd prefer have like a compact polymer, like a M&P or a SR22 or something like that over something like this. Yep. But you know, it's a Target model. It's gonna be. I mean, it's all steel. It's gonna be heavier and lighter recoiling, I guess, and easier to shoot more accurately. But that's kind of not my I guess forte. But for people that are into Target 22s, I imagine this is going to be a great contender. It comes with a fiber optic front sight, adjustable rear sight. I think it's I don't know if the rear sight's windage adjustable, but it looks to definitely be elevation adjustable.
It looks like it if you look at their spec sheet, they show it right on the left side, and it's got a little screw up there, so I'm assuming it is.
Yeah, and then honestly though, one of the first things I noticed, it looks like an old school Sigma on the grip portion.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, that's kind of a odd way to go on that, but it does have it's got the safety where most safeties are, you know, right there where your thumb can get to it, slide stop where they go, magazine release where it goes, kind of, you know, rather than the Ruger. I don't know if I've ever handled a Buckmark, so I don't know where the controls fall on that, but I know the older Rugers, all the controls are just in all the wrong places, so Smith & Wesson put them where they need to be, but they do kind of have that little T-shaped ear kind of thing that Ruger was going with, except there's a little more surface area to it. So that's nice. It doesn't have the full slide. It has the bolt inside the upper, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I would have liked it to have had a full slide or that half slide, kind of like the old Smith & Wesson Target 22s.
Like a Desert Eagle kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. The Ruger model, I mean, not Ruger, Smith & Wesson Model 41.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about, yeah.
So it's 10 rounds, got a 5.5-inch barrel. Adjustable. It does say adjustable fiber optic rear, so I didn't notice the fiber optics in the rear sight, but I guess they're in there.
Yeah, sure.
Everything's stainless steel.
The MSRP for the standard stainless non-threaded one is $409. So if you want the threaded one, it's an extra $20 for $429, and if you want the camouflage Cryptek version, it's $459.
Yeah, that's nice. That's not a bad premium for a threaded barrel either. Just $20 more. It's pretty good.
And the nice thing too is just one screw underneath the frame, and you can take the whole top off and change the barrel or change out the top or whatever you want to do. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now it looks like it's serialized on the frame, which is
Ruger's downfall.
Yeah, which is the Mark series or 2245 series is the barrel is serial, or the upper is serialized. So if you do want to switch it for any reason, but
or sell cool. It to somebody else and swap out the upper. They've got to go through the background checks for it.
All right.
Looks like it also comes with a Picatinny rail. It's included that you can take the rear sight off and put on.
That's cool.
At least that's what it says. The removable, interchangeable barrels. I don't know what that really matters, but you said the fiber optic sights. Comes with 2 magazines, an adjustable trigger stop.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what the removable barrel is. I guess maybe eventually they'll come out with maybe a longer barrel, a shorter barrel,
What happened?
aluminum sleeve barrel or
Probably
something like that.
fluted.
Yeah.
What happened is Volcorsen's already making barrels for it.
Oh, really?
They already have
Oh.
2 out. Yeah.
Nice.
Volcorsen has threaded barrels, and they have carbon fiber barrel already out for it now. And it's pretty cool. What they did was, because they have the history of that Model 41, which is like a great, supposedly 22, but it's just a very high price point, so a lot of people haven't purchased it. Plus, they make like 500 a year. They don't make a lot out of Smith & Wesson. At least they make a performance in a version where they only make 500 a year. So pretty much they had a high-end 22 that a lot of people weren't using. They took their time. They married all the best qualities of the best-selling, full metal 22 target pistols out there, and then just went straight for the jugular on all of them with the price point. So it's just new to a lot of us people who I've never heard of the model. I mean, I've seen Model 41s, but never ever thought about buying one because it's really a high-end 22. So
Yeah, because they're what, $1,200 to $1,400, something like that, huh?
Yeah, you're dropping high-end SIG money
Yeah.
on this, and it's like, no.
So this is
Not
really
on
awesome. Like back to what Tony mentioned about Volquartz, and they're already offering stuff. You could, it says click here for ordering options, so I assume they're ready to buy, maybe even before the gun's ready to buy. So that's kind of crazy. Let's see, they have an eye-fluted SS stainless steel barrel with forward blow comp. I'm not sure what that forward blow comp is, but so it's got these long. It's not like long full barrel flutes, but it's got 2 kind of on, I guess probably 4 or 5 sides of it, and like dashes, I guess you could say. But that's $295 for that barrel, and then they have a carbon fiber wrapped one, I guess. Let's see, carbon fiber lightweight barrel with thread protector.
Well, you need the lightweight barrel because the Victory weighs in at 36 ounces.
Oh yeah. So that one's $215. So that's even cheaper than the full fluted one. That's interesting because usually the carbon fiber wraps are more expensive, but it just says much lighter. It doesn't give a spec on how much lighter, but it looks like it's got an even longer barrel. I'm trying to see if it says it. It does not say how long the barrel is, but proportionally it looks a little longer than the factory 5.5 inch.
Yeah, so 6, 7.
It doesn't look much longer, so it could just be the pictures and it not having a front sight and different textures and stuff coming into play.
You went to Volcorsen site?
Yeah.
Also, the whatever. It's the V company. It's also threaded.
Yeah.
I don't know if they showed it or not.
Yeah, they
so
are threaded and they come with thread protectors, which is kind of uncommon, honestly, for some things.
Well, the thread protector, I've watched it and was looking at it. You don't know it's even threaded because it just syncs up and it's the same size as the barrel and the machine is so tight it looks like one piece.
Well, this one's pretty obvious on this one, but I have seen what you're talking about where it looks like a ported barrel and they twist it and it just comes right off. It's like the seam appears, but you can see the seam on these. So I guess they didn't put quite as much because that's their full custom, I would imagine. But this one's more like a production, I guess. So they didn't put that much time. That's my guess, at least. But that screw takedown is kind of interesting. I guess it's better than the Ruger.
Another.
You have to pull a screw out the bottom to take the upper off, but I mean, I guess that's what the 1022 and a lot of other barrels.
If you ever try to take apart a Ruger Mark III, you'll appreciate that screw.
It's an exercise in patience.
They did the right thing with that. I was in the market for a training 22, so I went on NRA instructor pages. You know what I mean? Like it's only instructors.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked, "What 22 do you get?" And I said, "I'm looking at different things: the Ruger, the Buckmark. You know what I mean? I'm just going down the list." And everybody said that when you get a Ruger and you get that Mark III, it's going to try your patience to take it apart to clean it. It's like almost, and one of the parts about an NRA pistol class, if you've ever taken one, is supposed to be maintenance of the firearm after it's over.
Yeah.
You're supposed to show students how to tear it down and clean it. Now, if it's testing your patience, and it's already a 4-hour class, and this is just for, the shorter one, no. You are not getting me to not curse all day long and then curse a blue streak at the end of class because I'm trying to get the pistol apart.
Yeah.
So this is actually a great step in the right direction. The price point is great. Already, again, you have top-of-the-line rimfire company making accessories for it. Really, they did it right. I mean, I think these companies are getting smarter with their marketing and giving people what they want. And they're showing it. Ruger has shown it with what they've been coming out with in the last, 3 years now. And this company, Smith & Wesson, is stepping it up. SIG has really stepped it up. I mean, along with the number of Americans buying more guns, the companies themselves are giving us many more options.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, definitely. This SHOT Show is going to be interesting.
And if you're on the Smith & Wesson Victory page and you click on Play Video, there's a nice kind of walkthrough of the pistol and its features by the lovely Miss Julie Golub. So make sure you get to watch that, see it in action. She shows it being, taken apart, disassembled, and it goes over all the features on that. So she is Mrs. Smith & Wesson.
Yeah.
Or one of them, I should say.
Julie's awesome.
Yep.
She is awesome.
There was a gun in that video?
Yeah, she's beautiful, too. She's former Army marksmanship team, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was in, I don't know if it's early 2000s, late 90s, but she was in it like 18 years old already on the marksmanship team, like right out of boot camp. Oh, basic training, excuse me. So the lady knows what she's doing when she's shooting, and she's attractive, and she just seems like a really cool person. I think she had a show on this network, but she got so busy with everything else.
Yeah, Gun Girl Radio.
That it kind of fell. Yeah,
Yep.
And it was fun listening to them because they seem like genuine people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. I caught the SHOT Show cold without going to SHOT Show and giving these popular people hugs and handshakes. So I hope she stays safe and healthy this year. But I kind of feel like I got all the negatives of SHOT Show without actually going. God dang it. But I know she's probably got like 6 containers of Purell, and she takes pretty good care of herself. As far as it's kind of what you do when you go to Vegas and all these people from across the world are coming together during flu season.
Get drunk on NyQuil every night before you go to bed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't think that's NyQuil.
Well, there's some like in it.
So
I
next
think
up,
this year's SHOT Show.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I think this year's SHOT Show is going to be full of antioxidants. Purell and antioxidants. This SHOT Show.
Yeah. So the next pistol we're going to talk about, it's called the Rex 01S, and it's by A-Rex. You might not have heard of them. Kind of interesting. They've been in the industry for over 20 years, so they're not new. But they are putting out this new pistol this year called the Rex. Comes in standard, compact, and I'm guessing subcompact. It says compact twice on their
They're calling
website.
it standard combat.
Combat.
Oh, combat. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm on the NyQuil myself. Standard, combat, and compact.
Yeah, which is the standard and the combat are kind of like a lot of people do with their full size and their compact, where the grip's the same length, just the barrel is a little shorter. So the
Kind of like Commander.
yeah, basically, and then the compact has a shorter grip and the same barrel as the combat. So which is interesting. Yeah, so the basic, I saw this thing and it looks a heck of a lot like a SIG, and I think that's pretty much what everybody's saying. But I think I saw somebody report that it's maybe just slightly dimensionally different than the SIG, so it might just kind of share the aesthetics without maybe the design, the exact, like being a clone, I guess you could say. Shares the aesthetic without being a clone, I think is what I was trying to say. And it's just kind of interesting. Like, it looks very, very much like a SIG, and I was kind of thinking to myself earlier today, I think the SIG is the next 1911 or CZ75. It's going to be the big cloned. I guess that's kind of running up on its time. But so it operates like pretty much like a SIG. It's got the big decocker that you're used to seeing on the SIG, double action, single action. But they added a safety. And so it's pretty interesting that they would do that. Have that big giant decocker and a safety. At least the safety's in a good spot and down to fire, which are basically, I mean, that's kind of standard these days. But sometimes they put the up for fire, and that's just kind of awkward. It's got a Picatinny rail on the bottom. 3-dot sights, I think standard. So like I mentioned, the standard size has the 5.5-inch barrel with I think it's a 17-round magazine. And then the Combat, which has the same 17-round magazine, or 18. Okay, so it says standard Combat and compact variants have a maximum magazine capacity of 15, 18, and 20 rounds for 9mm pistols, respectively. So I guess the Combat is slightly shorter than the standard. Okay. It doesn't look much shorter, but I guess it's only 2 rounds. So you basically have a kind of like Glock with the 19 and 17. It's just slightly shorter. And then the Compact has a 15-round magazine, I guess. But anyways, with the Combat and the Compact having a I lost it, I'm sorry, 3.85-inch barrel. So you go from 4.25 to 3.85, and you reduce your capacity a couple rounds with each one. One thing I thought was the weirdest thing, it says the Rex 01 pistols are available in 3 sizes, and all 3 variants are available in 9 Luger, 9x21, which I think is kind of the, is that Italian, the Italian one? No, that's 9x18.
I think it's Makarov.
No, Makarov is 9x18.
Okay.
So the 9 Luger is 9x19.
Okay, my bad.
I think the 9x21 is what they did to get around the, I think it's an IWI or IMI, I think.
Yeah.
But that's what they did to get around places like Italy where you can't have a military cartridge. So they basically it's a 9x19 with a slightly longer case, so you can so you can't fit your 9x21 in a 9x19. So you technically can't use your ammo in a military gun kind of thing. I don't know. But anyway, so also available in 40 Smith & Wesson. And the most curious, 7.65 Browning, also known as 32 Auto. Way left field, way. What is that thing got to hold, like 30 in the magazine?
You would hope.
Well, here's the funny part. I've been waiting for one of these to come out for a long time, and I was talking to people about it, and I was like, really, there needs to be a full size. There needs to be more options in lighter calibers for people that can't handle the recoil or handle the cocking or racking of the slide of something heavier. Yeah. Most 32 autos are freaking diminutive, have horrible sights and horrible triggers.
Yeah, this is a combat
something
size
like this can come out
with 32.
So grandma, So someone with arthritis, someone with weak hand strength, someone with any kind of disability can actually cock the firearm now, and you still have a okay defensive cartridge. That's all I was looking at. Finally, somebody has done it.
That's really cool.
Do you think they'll ever import the 32 auto though? Probably not.
I don't know if they.
Probably not.
Yeah, that was my guess too.
Based on the point system, I don't know if they could because it's not that minimum power.
I noticed also, I guess, in all their sizes, you can get 3 different frame colors, just like pretty much everybody else. You have the black, the foliage green, and flat dark earth. So,
which looks more like an OD green, because most foliage green is kind of a weird gray, but this one looks kind of OD.
Grayish green.
Yeah.
We all know how it comes with colors. They're not. One gray is not another gray. One tan is not another tan. But that is interesting. The sight, their front sight is drift adjustable. But I guess so is the rear sight, so that's normal, anyways. I really, really want to know how many the 32 holds. They did not say it on this. God, if it can hold 20 rounds of 9mm, how many 32s can that thing hold? It's got to be at least a 25, 26 round magazine, like minimum.
Yeah.
It has a magazine like a FN 57 or PR 30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which would quite interesting though. Yeah, I would can't see on their page where it
Unless
says what the
they're,
32 holds.
I'm kind of curious. Unless their unless their wording on the website is weird, because it says the standard combat and compact variants have a maximum magazine capacity of 15, 18, and 20 rounds for 9mm pistols, respectively. So I assume that's just the 9mm capacities. That's what it sounds like, huh?
Right.
Except they're
well,
backwards, because the standard would be the 20. I just think that they didn't. Where are these coming out of?
Slovenia.
Serbia. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
I like
translations.
the
So
fact.
yeah, so I'm thinking maybe just their translations are a little off, because respectively means from beginning to end, and then it goes from end to beginning. So it's kind of a little weird.
Well, a lot of their words, if you look at the breakdown with the arrows pointed at the firearm, 18 rounds magazine.
Yeah, rounds.
18 rounds magazine. Extended accessory rail. EXTENDET. So.
And a disassembly.
You've never heard of that? Extended it?
Yeah.
Don't forget the disassembly.
I've heard people say it like that. But...
LEY, yeah.
Wow.
LEY.
They just need to fire their translator.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Google Translate that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's Slavonics, man. You just got to know how to read between lines.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is auto-translated from Google, like somebody just mentioned.
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb, though, that if I ever see one of these, I'm going to pick it up and see what it's like.
Did we cover the colors, the frame colors?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing I think is kind of cool, it comes with like a full little cleaning kit. It comes with like a little polymer handle, like a bore mop, some different brushes, a little patch holder, and extension rods. That's pretty cool, rather than just like kind of like Glock just throws in that cheap little plastic patch
Bottle
holder.
brush.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this one comes with everything basically, and it looks like the handle might be hollow, so you could throw some lube or CLP or something down in there if you have a little bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like a little carrying case for those brushes. Almost looks like a buffer for an AR-15.
Yeah, it threw me off at first. I was trying to figure out what that is.
Yeah.
I bet it screws the little board jag thing. Probably
for the.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And we mentioned the MSRP, did we?
I don't know actually. I don't.
No.
So I had to look around. I didn't see
it on the website.
So I kind of googled around and I found somebody said, like US, it should be $5.99, and so that's kind of rumored, not really confirmed. If you do the direct like euro conversion, it's much higher. But somebody was kind of like grabbing off of their SHOT Show 2016 press release.
Oh, okay.
With a US entry price of $5.99. So hopefully that it gets. If it stays there, it's going to be a hot seller because. Good luck finding any kind of SIG in that fashion without it being a 320 or a 250 in that range.
Now, kind of, I guess, curious. Ryan mentioned that this isn't necessarily a new company. I think it was Ryan, one of you guys.
Yeah.
It looks like other things they manufacture. They plastic blank ammunition. I guess. Maybe it shoots the plastic projectile off or something like that. Dummy ammo, links for belt-fed machine guns. Let's see. Technological solutions, soldier equipment. So it just kind of seems like they have a kind of a wide array of, I don't know what necessarily the technological solutions means, but they show a picture of a robot arm, so I assume they're in robotics in some way.
Cool.
Well, I was looking it up because I'm trying to find out where they're from. It's like the country's right below Austria, right next to Italy, and right above Croatia, and between Hungary. So that area right there was what? They were like firearms rich. That's part of the Ottoman Empire from World War I thing. So they made lots of guns going way back. They have a rich history, just most of it's not noticed here unless you are a World War I handgun buff. So, there are other countries with, you know what I mean? America leads in civilian gun ownership, and a lot of countries come here and make a ton of money. But they know what sells, and when they want to appeal to our market, well, I mean, what sells better than a SIG 226, 229? You know?
Yeah.
So they made their version of it, and I'd be all over it.
They do. They have a humongous facility, so I imagine they've got to be pretty pretty established in the stuff that they do manufacture. So hopefully it's a quality, not just a. I mean, obviously it's not cheap as in a $300 SIG clone or anything, but like Ryan mentioned, it's a little less expensive than a comparably featured handgun, but not so much to where hopefully it wouldn't. It's not that cheap alternative. It's just a different alternative kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know necessarily. Like we said earlier, I don't know exactly what's different, but I'm pretty sure I did read somebody. Forgot who it was, but they were saying that it seemed dimensionally different than a SIG, even though it looks like it on the outside. Interesting too. They will be at SHOT Show if anybody is listening and happen to be going and want to check them out. It's booth 11217.
We're all a bunch of losers here. Nobody's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't consider myself a loser for not going to SHOT Show. Yeah, really? I mean, I'd like to get there and check it out. I actually had offers to go to SHOT Show back in the mid to late 90s. A friend of mine's father works in the firearm industry and was always looking for somebody to go with him out there. And I turned it down for years because I really didn't feel it. And it was like you had to be, I mean, still you have to be part of the industry. But back then, they definitely didn't consider the internet any part of the industry.
Back then, the internet wasn't around.
Yeah, I know. It was around, you dork. But anyway.
There were still tubes on Al Gore's floor before he turned them into a series of tubes.
My dad was a big computer geek. And I remember getting out of the military, and I came to his house, and he had T1 lines running out of his basement in like 95. My dad had 6 computers all hooked up. I go into his basement man cave, and he has 6 different feeds coming off from all over the planet. He has some jazz club playing live in Germany just because he can. He has a feed coming in. I mean, he was just that dude. You know what I mean?
Sounds kind of like a cool new age ham operator, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much that was it. He had all that enthusiasm. He thought AOL was a joke because real people use full names and not AOL. He was like, what is that crap? He's like, that's for the general public. But anyway, he was on a dark net or something. I don't know what he was doing. But I like this thing, especially the price point, because what do you think? It comes in about $100 cheaper, maybe?
Yeah, probably about. Now, okay.
Street price?
So if anybody does go to SHOT Show, you have to do me one favor. Ask them how many rounds the 32 holds. Because that's killing me that they offered it.
Yeah, it's probably a lot. You kind of skipped out there.
Yeah,
there,
like we talked about, they're right there in like Eastern Europe with. I mean, they had police officers issued 32s until like this previous decade. Like there were still police officers carrying 32s relatively recently. I mean, compared to when Americans stopped thinking 32s were good, they were carrying them as cops for way longer than probably should have been. So it's interesting. I guess I could see why they went with the 32, but it's just very interesting. And I'm kind of like Tony. I wish Glock could import their 380, 19, and 26 size pistols. I wish more people would do that, or bigger 380s and stuff like that. So I mean, that's because you got to imagine the slide weight on that is going to be probably plenty enough to slow down that cartridge without having any kind of significant recoil spring. You might have a 15 to 18 pound recoil spring in the 9mm, and then like a 8 pound on the 32, if that. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, if you don't do blowback, and you have a linkage system, yeah. I just wonder.
I think
about
even in this
that.
size gun, a 32 blowback would still be a little baby, recoil.
Probably. I mean, my eyes got open just by teaching students. You know what I mean? Most people don't think about that unless they have somebody in their family with a limitation.
Right.
And, a lot of us are guys, healthy, and you don't think about people that aren't trying to fire a firearm until you run across it and realize there are a lot of people like that. From anything from a veteran that can only operate with weakened strength, smaller stature females. A lot more women are into this now. And some people do need baby steps into bigger calibers.
Right.
Some people don't understand that. Just man up and get a 9, get a 45, get a 40. Well, maybe not. Maybe they're intimidated by it. Maybe they don't like it. Maybe their stupid boyfriend took them out with a 500 Smith & Wesson, a videotape them and posted on YouTube, and they're afraid to recoil now.
Yeah, now they have an imprint of a front sight in their forehead, if not worse.
Why do you think Tony's wearing that beanie?
So that's it for the products this week. But Chad's got a review. Way to go, buddy! You're the one that's keeping 50% of the name of this podcast true.
Hey, and this review, as it was stated by them, is the first review anywhere of this product.
Nice.
Wow.
I know, that's kind of what I thought too. What we're doing today is we are reviewing the HyperTouch EDT3, which is from Hyperfire. They make competition AR-15, AR-10 triggers, and this is their newest addition to their enhanced duty, trigger line, I guess. They make an EDT1, a 2, and now a 3, except they're not actually 1, 2, and 3. It's EDT, EDT squared, and this is the EDT cubed, which is kind of hard to say, but I'm sure everybody will call it the EDT3. So, with this duty line of triggers, this is the third iteration, which it's kind of cool. I mean, you'll have to go to the Gun and Gear review website, the Firearms Insider one, to see kind of what the trigger looks like, because I'm not going to pull it out of here because it's just too hard. But, I mean, it's a trigger. I'm going to try to get it closer and see if you can see the little flat right here on the trigger at the bottom of the bow. I don't know if you can see it or not, but...
Yeah, it looks like it's showing up.
Yeah, it's there. So that is kind of the difference between the EDT squared and the EDT cubed. And so this thing is empty if anybody really wants to know. So what we have is, it's a duty trigger. You guys can hear it. This is the hammer fall. So it still has positive hammer fall. Theoretically, it is more than the stock trigger, so that is good for any type of ammo. And it has an excellent reset. I'm sure you guys are going to be able to hear it. I'll do it here. Pretty sure you could hear that click. So that's that part of it.
Comes with a different hammer, right?
Yeah, it's hammer, trigger, springs, the disconnector, and all three of them comes with new springs, which we will get into here in a minute. So the assembly is, if you can pretty much install a regular AR-15 trigger, you can install this. Take your old one out, figure out which spring you want on the hammer, and then drop the trigger in. The trigger comes with the disconnector installed, and they have a little short pin in it. So when you drop the trigger disconnector into your receiver, it also comes with a little taper pin. So basically all you have to do is get it lined up, push the taper pin in, and it pushes out the little short stubby pin that's holding it together, and then take one of the supplied just trigger hammer pins. They're just standard AR trigger hammer pins, and push it in and drive the little tapered pin out, then triggers in, and then the hammer, decide which spring you want on it, and then just push it in same way as you would any normal hammer spring. Okay, so now the EDT Cubed has two different stated pull weights. They state it's a 4 plus and a 6 plus. And I say stated because the pull weights are different from when I measured them. And because of the unique trigger shoe it has, the pull weights vary. So what happens is it comes with two different color hammer springs. You have a red and a green. The green one is the lighter pull weight, and the red one is a heavier pull weight. So, like if you're actually, say, a police officer and you want this trigger, you would probably want the red one just for a little extra pull weight. But what happened is I installed both of them, and when I measured the trigger pull weight, I measured it at the center of the trigger bow and then all the way at the bottom on the little flat that's on the trigger. And with the red spring, I got 6 3/4 pounds in the middle and 4.5 pounds on the bottom flat part. And then when I put the green spring in, the middle pull weight was 5.5 pounds, and then all the way at the bottom with your finger, it came in at 3 3/4 pounds, which you can tell it's different. It's kind of, if you grab it in the normal spot, pull the trigger, it feels pretty crisp. If you grab it all the way at the bottom of the flat part, it's smooth, but there is some creep in it before it breaks. I mean, it's noticeable, but compared to a stock trigger, I also measured the distance the triggers actually travel. So what happened is the total travel on this trigger, pretty much zero creep, zero over travel, was about 60 thousandths of an inch. And that's about half of what the stock AR trigger is. When I measured it, it was about 1/8 of an inch. So you're looking at half, basically. Hyperfire calls this trigger the duplex trigger bow because it's half curved and then the bottom is a little flat spot. When I shot it a lot, I noticed that my finger kind of wanted to go kind of right where the ledge is between the flat spot and the curved spot, which produced a good trigger pull, I must say. Let's see if I'm forgetting anything. It's extremely smooth. The trigger reset is just awesome on this thing. I mean, I don't know what they did, but they did a nice job with the trigger reset. And I like really positive trigger reset. One of the reasons I don't like two-stage triggers, and this is a single-stage trigger, so that helped with the way I liked it.
Now, Chad.
Yeah.
You mentioned how your finger kind of rested on that, I guess, almost corner. Did you find that uncomfortable anyway, or
no, not actually. I'll hold this back up here.
It's pretty light. It's a pretty light curve, so I can.
Yeah, and it's just when I would hold it, it kind of rested about. I don't know if you can see. About there was where it ended up resting it.
Okay, but the corner, the angle of the corner didn't really. It's not severe enough. Yeah,
and it's not sharp, so it's kind of radius. So that kind of did that. It seemed to help. I don't know. I liked it. I didn't put this in the review, but I'll state it now. If you guys have ever used the ALG Advanced Combat Trigger, it feels a lot like that with a shorter pull. It's kind of, that's the best trigger that people know about that I can relate it to. So I think we'll go over some of these, see if I missed anything here. That's about it for that part. The Firearms Insider, 8 key points. The claim to fame duty replacement trigger with a lighter but not too light trigger pull. It also has that flat for what they state, and what I noticed is if you're doing precision rifle work, you lower your finger down to that little flat spot, and it gives you the lighter pull. If you're shooting blazing targets up close, just wherever your finger falls, just start blazing them. And so there's that too. Target markets, law enforcement, military, home defense, and hunting, where you don't want a competition trigger, but you want a reliable trigger. I shot all kinds of different ammo with this thing. And I could not, steel cased, hard primer stuff, and everything went bang when I shot it. So that's a good sign. I did forget something here. They did mention that this trigger tends to need kind of broken in. They said about 200 trigger presses before it smooths out. It was pretty smooth from the beginning, but I did notice that after running 500 rounds through it, it was quite a bit smoother. But, that's one of those things. It was really good when I received it, so, 200 trigger pulls really isn't that much if you're playing around dry firing it. So the features and benefits. It's a drop-in replacement. Nothing complicated about it. It has their duplex trigger bow, the different pull weights, the springs wise. It's a single stage trigger. It's got really positive reset, and it's a shorter than stock pull. I could only find one review, so what others are saying, this came from their website. It says, y'all are on top of things, got the HyperTouch EDT Cube this morning, put it through hell. I'm ex-military, and this is by far better trigger group than the standard mil-spec. I'm rough on firearms, and my way of looking at things is if it can't take abuse, I don't need it. This trigger group can take it. Very nice feel and action. In case someone out there is wondering, this trigger group will fit and work in a Colt AR 9mm and the Stag Arms 9mm carbine, but the safety has to be removed in order to install it in the Stag Arms 9mm. So that was kind of interesting and kind of nice to know that it'll work in a 9mm AR. So
yeah, and not that it has to be permanently removed; it can be reinstalled afterwards.
Correct. The price point on it, MSRP is $99 from them. It looks like it's $99 at swfa.com. Brownells does sell some of their triggers, but their site did not list this particular trigger. And so does Amazon list some of their triggers, but not this particular one. Maybe because it's fairly new. So I figure here in a little bit you can use our links to buy it from one of those two guys. So if you need it now, you're pretty much stuck with those two guys, Hyperfire or SWFA. So for our rating, the pros, it's got a lighter pull weight. I like the little duplex trigger bow, the curved then straight. It comes with an installation pin tool, which I actually used on a different trigger also. Has great reset, the short pull length, and for the price, I didn't think it was a bad deal. They actually supplied this trigger to us, so I didn't fork out the $99, but hey, that's nice of them for the review. The cons, there's only two options in the pull weights, and when you're pulling at the bottom of the trigger, there was noticeable creep, even though it was super smooth. So I gave it a score of 8, which is great.
Nice. Yeah, now I haven't gone trigger shopping for ARs, but it seems like 99 is probably a good middle range price point. Seems like you can get kind of the like Geisley and stuff they have there, like enhanced GI, where I think they just kind of polish up GI, and then after that it seems like everything's over $100, no kind of middle ground. Am I correct on saying that? Because it seems like everything I've seen, it's either 50 or 150. Like,
Right.
it's kind of a big jump.
There's a few out there, but the one I know of is that ALG trigger. And I think it comes in at like $70 or.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but it's around there. And it's
No, that's the price of ALG.
Okay.
right.
ALG is about $70. The only thing cheaper than the ALG trigger that is exactly the same thing, pretty much, is Palmetto State Armory Enhanced.
Right.
They do the exact same thing, and theirs is $30. But pretty much those are as inexpensive as you can get outside of a GI trigger. And then you're up to the $99 price point. And after that, it's $150, and then it's the friggin' moon.
Yeah, but sometimes those moon triggers are pretty nice. They basically, if you want this trigger without the little funky duplex bow, the EDT squared is basically the same trigger.
Now, you might not want to say funky because you did like it, right?
I did. Well, I didn't say that funky isn't something you like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It just looks weird. It's different. It looks weird. It works well. So.
Different eras. I guess Chad's funky and my funky are different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. Well,
Yeah, you got to understand what you're dealing with here.
You got to remember location too.
Oh, yeah. You're in Hippy Dippy, Oregon, huh?
That's right. Long hair.
Rudy,
hippie.
Oregon.
Yep.
He didn't say far out. I guess we're at least thankful for that.
I said groovy one day. So.
And we haven't let you down since.
I really like that installation because, I mean, especially because it comes with that little short pin in the trigger and, shoot, what is that? The drawing a blank. Yeah, the disconnector. Because those things, man, that's the most difficult thing to line up when it's in a receiver. So for the fact that it comes with that little stubby pin, that all you got to do is drop the whole thing in and then push it out with their tapered pin. That's great. You hang on to that little stubby pin and that tapered pin for all future. Because I mean,
I got them in a baby food jar on my bench.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people would say that that's worth its weight in gold right there, not having to fight with lining up 6 different holes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I will say that taper pin, it even is really nice just for like the hammer, because you don't have a stubby pin, but you put the pin in and then your hammer cocks over sideways.
Right.
And so I used it on that too. You just shove it in there and it lines up with the hole on the other side.
Recenters it. Yeah, because I had that problem when I was assembling that AR a couple months ago. You put the pin in and then you got to change. I mean, it doesn't even look like you changed the angle on the hammer, but if you look through the other side, there's a pretty clear crescent going on where you're not perfectly lined up.
Yep. So
that's awesome that they include that, and the two, we're used to adjustable triggers, but this being a duty trigger, I like that simplicity of just changing the springs and the fact that they're different colors and stuff. You won't get them necessarily confused. I mean, you might not remember exactly which one's red and which one's green, but you can look it up versus both of them being gray.
Right.
And hoping you don't drop them both on the floor and no telling which one's which at that point,
Yeah, and if they weren't colored, I don't think you could tell a difference.
Yeah.
Like some springs are thinner and some are thicker, but these I couldn't really tell much difference. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what kind of makes that, because it's probably dimensionally the same, like you're saying. Maybe it's a slightly different, thinner material or something like that.
I didn't take a pair of calipers or something to them to actually
I have to take a micrometer to even tell. But one might just be harder metal for all we know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it looks like the hammer is a little bit lightened. Just from looking at the picture, it looks lighter than like a GI or something like that. So I guess maybe that's they're gaining some momentum there with it being lighter, but it's not so light that it doesn't hit it hard enough.
Right, and from I have no way of testing this just by what they say.
Mm-hmm.
They said that the hammer energy is actually more than a stock trigger group. So
yeah. So I'm thinking maybe that's what it is. They took off just enough weight to make it move faster but not so much that it's too light to reliably strike.
Right, to increase that lock time so that...
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know their standard EDT duty trigger, just the one, it has kind of a bobbed hammer, so it doesn't even have like the hammer spur on it. So it might be faster, but you may not get as much inertia going.
Right.
Moving as much weight.
So this might just be a happy medium between GI and super, high speed.
Right.
Because especially since they're advertising it as their duty. What does the EDT stand for again? Do you remember?
Extreme Duty Trigger.
Okay, so yeah, they're advertising it as a duty, law enforcement and military kind of trigger. So you would definitely you'd absolutely want the 100% reliability.
Yep.
I have to wonder about the wisdom of you putting aftermarket trigger in your law enforcement firearm. Yeah, I have no idea who would approve that.
I don't know. How many Remington 700s are there out there in law enforcement that have a different trigger?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it varies widely. Varies widely depending on department, because some departments you have to carry a Glock 17 with the factory trigger and factory night sights.
Yeah.
And some departments you can carry, between these 6 guns. Some departments is just as long as you can qualify with it, you're good. They don't necessarily care.
It all depends. I'm just talking about, and there's nothing wrong with this. It's not even inherently unsafe. It's not even about that. It's about the litigation.
Right.
But truthfully, I doubt if this is. I mean, because if you're on an apartment SWAT team, because when I read about this, is you're talking about different things about close combat and all that stuff, and I'm like, dude, if you're on a SWAT team, they provide you with yours. Don't worry about it.
All right.
They probably got all kinds of cool stuff on it. But I'm like, with Hyperfire, this is this least expensive trigger, right? Out of all the ones they make.
Yeah, the duty triggers are. I think the standard EDT 1 is like
$89.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like $10 cheaper, and then the 2 is like either 96 or something. I don't know. I'd have to go to their website.
So the EDT is 89. The EDT 2 is 94, and the EDT 3 is 99. So yeah, it's pretty small spectrum there. And then like we were talking about earlier, it just almost doubles from there. It looks like their next cheapest one is the HyperTouch 24, which is $185.
Right.
And it just goes, like Tony said, to the moon. It almost seems like you can get it as expensive as you want. So that's
Now I will say that they were kind enough. They sent me a 24C that I'll be reviewing also.
Nice. Trigger.
And I must say, I am in love with that trigger.
Now that's the 24E. Is that what you said?
The C.
C. Okay, so that's the one with the flat front and that little boot.
Correct.
What do they call it? The hyper shoe.
Yes.
That you can kind of move. That almost kind of does the same thing as that duplex. It gives you.
It does. You can.
It gives you variable points of contact because you can move it up and down.
Yeah, and it's got a little kind of ratchet system. It locks in there.
Nice. Yeah, I look forward to that one. Yeah, it's got little teeth in the back of the trigger. It looks like.
Yeah.
That looks like an incredibly complicated trigger right there.
And the thing is it is way more complicated than the duty triggers.
Right, and being duty, it needs to be simple to make sure that you don't have, because I mean it's a trigger. It serves one function to drop a hammer, and you don't want to have 12 different parts to do that if you're betting your life on it.
Correct.
So that's good. It's really cool. I guess medium.
I actually the rifle I stuck the EDT cubed in it's an SBR, so I figured that was a good platform for it.
Yeah, probably. It's not a precision gun. It's more that roll, that kind of duty roll, like you said, like it's advertised as.
Yep. So what's Ryan doing? He's hanging out.
Just listening. Nobody wants to hear me being all nasally and crap. Yeah. Cool.
Ryan's NyQuil kicked in.
Yeah, right. I'm just waiting for Ryan's dinner to kick in.
Yeah,
Somebody
Alright,
gets
at least-
feisty when he gets a cold.
I'm not going there.
I guess I meant for my cook to kick in is what I meant to say, but I'm gonna catch heck because her mom listens to the podcast, so I'm already gonna be in trouble.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and which is actually bad because I can't be like, oh hey, look at the new gun I got. Don't tell anybody, or don't tell my significant other, and then he'll get a text.
Look what
Anyway.
Ryan did.
Yeah. I'm holding this for somebody. I'm borrowing it.
Yeah.
No, you live in Washington.
Yeah.
You can't do
Yeah,
that.
this is bad.
You can't do that.
Sick
Yeah.
burn, Chad. Sick burn.
Yeah.
I live in Oregon. You can't do that either.
Oh, shoot, that's right. We both be felons. Darn.
So hanky. Nice.
All right, so we're gonna scrub all that. Listener feedback. We do have some. I don't know if I read it back from December. It's been a while since I've read listener feedback, but basically it was from Santiago 2 on December 2nd. He said, "Great and informative podcast. I look forward to each new episode. The hosts are always comedic about things and each other. This made it easy to listen to and keeps it from being boring and technical, which is something we strive for, not being boring or too technical." So
That's kind
thanks
of
for
funny
that.
because I feel like the beginning of 2015 we got a review where somebody said we were a little too dry. So maybe
Yeah.
we're improving.
Well, it's 2016 now. Maybe dries in.
No, nope, dry's not in. It's
Well,
got to
actually, nice. Sorry about that. I know I sent that review before I came on the show in 2015. I was being a little critical. Now it's awesome.
Are you Santiago 2? Was that Santiago 1 and now you're Santiago 2?
I have many aliases, and all of them are Santiago.
Nice. Well, yeah, that's it for the Actually, nope, that's not it for the show. We still have to let Tony talk about his Second is for Everyone diversity shoot. You got an event coming up?
Got an event coming up on the 4th of February, 6 o'clock at Gun for Hire Range in Woodland Park. Tonight I'm wearing one of the shirts from some of the guys that have supported me. It's the Coalition of New Jersey Firearms Owners. You can find them at justifiableneed.com. They just started up a 501c, and what their whole thing is to educate people and have non-shooting events that just bring shooters and people who haven't together and let them know that gun owners are just regular people. And this is why I'm hosting these events. This is why I do the Second is for Everyone, to get people from various backgrounds together, bring in new shooters, introduce them to the whole shooting community. No matter your race, your background, your size, your gender, it doesn't matter. We need to bring all these people together because, as you can see with the president's last states, the State of Union address is going on right now, I think, and also his executive actions that he's taken at the beginning of this year. We need to come from behind this old image of what people think of when they think of firearms owners. You need to get your friends, you need to get your neighbors, your mom, that one guy at work, you know what I mean? We need to get more and recruit more, and that's why I host Second is for Everyone diversity shoots. Again, it's going to be on February 4th here, and what we do is educate people on New Jersey's Second Amendment laws and what we have to deal with here and groups they can join to help in the fight on the local level and on the national level. You guys were joking before about Washington and Oregon, and you can't, get your wife's gun. Well, it's because gun owners didn't pay attention when the election came around, and most of them didn't vote. They didn't think it would ever take place. They didn't think it will ever affect them. They let outside people and inside people in the state buy all the ad time on the radio and the television, and nobody really told them how bad of an idea this was because gun owners were not paying attention. Whatever state you're in, it can happen to you. Bloomberg dedicated $50 million to his anti-gun agenda, and he'll get together with other like-minded people in the state or just buy up all the ad time. And they will slip this down your throat. They'll get it on your ballot. It's important. As a gun owner, you are in politics. Politics suck. I don't like politics. I come from a job where something is broken, you fix it. Politicians don't do that. If something's broken, they negotiate, get paid more, and keep it broken. That's how they work. We're gun owners. We can't allow that crap to happen. We've compromised from being able to get a belt-fed machine gun mailed to your house in 1920 to you have to get a $200 tax stamp. You might be able to get it. You might not. Depends on what state you're in. We've compromised enough. Now it's time to join a local group. No matter where you live, join a local 2A group. Join a national 2A group. And if you think your state is fine, wherever the heck you're in, then donate some money to a 2A group in a state like Jersey or in a state like Maryland or in a state like New York or California because they need your help. So my event, the Second is for Everyone Diversity Shoot. You can go on my Facebook page, Second is for Everyone. The link is in the show notes. You can check out Simon Says on Facebook or Instagram. Simon Says Train, on Facebook or Instagram. Check out what we do. But if anything, please join a 2A group so you can pay attention to your local politics and not let stupid gun laws slip up on you. Thanks for the time, Ryan.
Yep, no problem, man. So, yeah. And to wrap it up, send questions or comments to cross@firearmsradio.tv. If you have any questions or comments about the podcast and how we're doing, you can also subscribe and leave us an iTunes review. It also gives us some feedback on how we've been improving over the years. Check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv/iTunes. And be sure to visit the Firearms Insider for reviews and industry coverage. If you want to stay up to date on SHOT Show, I'd recommend following us on Instagram. I know one of our podcasts, one of many, but I think the Practically Tactical podcast is probably going to have the most SHOT Show coverage. They're pretty funny guys too, so follow their Instagram and their website as well. And yep, that's it. So everyone have a good week. Shoot safe. Stay warm. Try not to catch the flu or the plague from Vegas if you're heading down there. And I'll catch you guys next week.
Catch you
Yep,
later.
All right, see you guys.